Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a problem that, let's be honest, almost all of us face: procrastination. Whether it's a big work project or just finally making that dentist appointment, we've all been there.
You know that feeling, right? You've got a huge deadline looming, but suddenly reorganizing your entire bookshelf by color seems absolutely essential. And you probably beat yourself up, call yourself lazy. But what if that's totally wrong? What if it has nothing to do with willpower at all?
In this quote right here, from psychologist Dr. Tim Pychyl, it gets to the absolute heart of the matter. See, experts are now pretty much all in agreement. Procrastination isn't some kind of character flaw. It's a coping mechanism. It's your brain's strategy for dealing with really uncomfortable emotions that are tied to a task.
Okay, so if we really want to beat this thing, we've got to look under the hood and see what's really going on. And this isn't some new age problem. It's a deeply human struggle that people have been trying to figure out for literally centuries.
In fact, the ancient Greeks had a word for it: akrasia. It perfectly describes that weird, irrational thing we do when we know what we should be doing, but we actively choose to do something else, something that we know is probably going to hurt us in the long run.
So what is actually happening inside our brains when we do this? Well, it turns out there is a full-on biological battle being waged right between your ears.
Think of it like this. You've got two parts of your brain in a constant fight. On one side, you've got your limbic system. It's the ancient, primitive part of your brain, and it basically acts like a toddler throwing a tantrum. It wants to feel good, and it wants to feel good right now. On the other side, you have your prefrontal cortex, the responsible adult in the room trying to make smart, long-term plans. The big problem? The toddler is way louder and way more powerful.
And as if that wasn't enough, your brain's little alarm system, the amygdala, gets in on the act. It can see a tough task, like studying for a big exam, and mistake it for a genuine threat to your self-esteem. This kicks off what scientists call an amygdala hijack. Your primal fight-or-flight instinct goes off, and that urge to escape the threat completely overrules any logical plan you had.
Okay, so what are these bad feelings our brain is running from? We're not just talking about being bored, you guys. It usually goes way, way deeper than that.
I mean, just look at this list. Yeah, it could be simple boredom, but more often than not, it's tied to these really heavy feelings: anxiety, self-doubt, that deep-down fear of failure, or the fear of what other people will think.
Exactly. When starting a task feels like it could be a judgment on our own abilities, is it any surprise that our brain just wants to hit the big red eject button and find comfort in something safe, like, I don't know, watching another episode of that show we've already seen 3 times? So, I'm sure you've been there. You try to use brute force, right? Just power through it. So why does that almost never work in the long run? Well, it's because we fall into another classic psychological trap.
It's this idea called self-handicapping, and procrastination is the poster child for it. By putting things off, you create a built-in excuse for yourself. It feels so much safer for our ego to say, "Oh, I just ran out of time," than it does to face the terrifying possibility that we gave it our all and it just wasn't good enough.
And all that negative self-talk, I'm so lazy, I should have started earlier, that just pours gasoline on the fire. The research is super clear on this. Beating yourself up creates more stress and bad feelings, which are the exact things that cause procrastination in the first place.
This also totally blows up that myth that some of us work better under pressure. It's just not true. In one study, they found that while procrastinating students were less stressed at the start of the semester, by the end, they were way more stressed out and got lower grades. That last-minute rush isn't creativity, it's just anxiety.
Okay, so if willpower and beating ourselves up are out, what's in? Let's switch gears and talk about a new toolkit, one that's built on actual science, not on shame.
And the first tool in that kit, honestly, is a huge mindset shift. It's about swapping out that harsh inner critic for some self-compassion. And I know that might sound a little soft, but forgiving yourself for procrastinating is one of the most powerful things you can do to stop the cycle. It reduces the anxiety and makes it easier to try again.
All right, next up, a super practical trick, the 2-minute rule. This is brilliant because it's all about tricking your brain into just starting. You can do this in a few ways. If something takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now. Or take a big goal, like read more, and shrink it down to read 1 page. Or just commit to working on that scary, overwhelming project for just 2 minutes. Anyone can do something for 2 minutes.
We can also borrow some really powerful techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy. First, break those giant, scary tasks into tiny, non-scary steps. Second, start catching those negative thoughts and challenge them. Instead of, this has to be perfect, try, done is better than perfect. And third, actually reward yourself for making progress. That helps your brain start to associate the task with something good.
And finally, for those really stubborn habits, there's this awesome 4-step method. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. You don't just plan for success, you plan for failure. You state your wish, imagine the great outcome, but then, and this is key, you identify the internal obstacle that's going to get in your way. Then you make a specific if-then plan to deal with it.
So after all of this, all the neuroscience and the psychology, what's the big takeaway? Well, it's a simple idea that completely flips how we usually think about motivation.
We spend so much time waiting to feel like doing something. We wait for inspiration to strike. But the science shows we've got it completely backward. Action is the spark that creates motivation, not the other way around. Just get started, even in the smallest way, and the motivation will follow.
So look, the goal here isn't to magically solve procrastination forever. The goal is to be a little kinder to yourself and just take the smallest possible step forward. So I'll leave you with this question. What's your next 2-minute action? What's one thing you can do for just 120 seconds right now?